Hello everyone, this is Uday Kumar. In this tutorial, we're going to see how to create a sample application using Spring MVC and how to read a message from property files and how to support internationalization. So what are we going to build? It's a simple application. We're going to read a message from property files and providing an options for languages. Upon clicking that languages, we're going to translate that message. Let's get into development. So here I'm going to create a Maven project and then I use default workspace location, and then there are many archetypes are available. So here I'm going to click archetype web app. So upon clicking next, so it asks for group ID and artifact ID. So I just leave it as com.welcome as group ID, and then I'm going to give artifact ID as welcome message and click finish. So it loads the project types for the particular archetype. Just like wait for a few minutes to get uploaded. 75% completed. So when we expand that, so there are some project structures have been created here, uh, and then for using Spring MVC, we need some Spring APIs to create a Spring MVC application. So for that, we need to add dependencies in pom.xml. So in this UI way, we can easily add it. So I'm going to add Spring MVC, Spring Web MVC API here, or dot Spring framework. Then script hyphen with MVC. Release is going to be for 6.0 dot that's compiled. Okay, and then we need one more API that's called servlet API. That's available in this version equal to 2.5, and then I don't want this API to be packaged in my work. So I provide a scope as provided, and then I'm clicking OK, and I'm saving it. So it's just building in workspace. After building workspace, all the dependencies and transitive dependencies will be added here. If you see here, we just added two API alone, Spring Web MVC and Servlet API, but these are the underlying API for Web MVC. So it just bring all the things. So that's use of Maven. Then now our project structure is ready. And then next thing is we need to tell the deployment descriptor. So what are the requests we going to receive, and then how are we going to handle the request? So that needs to be specified here. This is a very old one. I'm going to paste this new one, and then this is a Spring SCS suite. So there is a keyboard for dispatches. What I'm doing typing. There is a declaration available for dispatcher servlet. So it provides all the servlets and servlet mapping related items. So only thing we need to change here is we need to provide what is the Spring config related location and then URL mapping. So I'm going to create a Spring config in this location. Webinf slash config slash. I'm going to name it as Spring config dash servlet.xml. So this is the location where I'm going to create this Spring config. So what is the request? I'm going to forward it to dispatcher servlet. So whatever the extension it has, .html extension, I'm going to forward it to a dispatcher servlet. Yeah, the first step, writing a deployment descriptor is done. I'm going to create a Spring config now in this following location, webinf config and Spring config. So here we don't have that folder. What I'll do is I'm going to create a folder here as config. Underneath, I'm going to create a Spring Bean. I have a file for Spring configuration file. I'm next, and then giving finish. Yeah, that's all. The Spring configuration servlet has been created. I'm going to namespace. So here there are more spaces are available. From here we need context and MVC and p namespaces. So go to source. I'm just maximizing it. So this is the file. This is used by Spring Container for initializing a bean and no, some other things destroying a bean. So this file is very important to Spring Container. So I'm going to tell Spring Container we're going to use annotation event thing. For that we have a tag available for that MVC colon annotation dash event. And then we need to provide a context where we need to scan for source file. So for that there is a context component scan. Still we didn't create any packages for us. So what I'll do is I'll just stop it here and then create a control over there so that that base packages will be available. I'm going to project directory and then creating a folder. We don't have that source main slash Java. So what I'll do is I'll creating that one. Yeah, it create a source folder for us. In this, I'm going to create a package and class. So I directly go to class so that we can give over there our package as well. It's slow, so just wait for 2 minutes. Okay, on dot simple dot controller, call it as controller. Then I'm going to do this location or directly give until controller to this package. So controller class will be loaded here. Until that we have to wait. So my motion is a little slow. So once it's created, I'm going to give a base package here. So from this package, it will look for the source pair, I mean the control pair. So we just stop it here and then we go to control file to complete it. So there are more annotations are available to mention. And then one of the annotation is controller. So it tells that this project class is going to act as controller. Okay. So this is available from Spring. Wrong one. Correct one, controller. And here I'm going to write a method uh, message items message. This is the thing when dispatcher servlet invokes for controller upon completing all the functionalities, business logics or service related logics are completed, it will return this method will return the string back to controller. Okay, so just remember here. So if you want anything written to controller or view, there is one object available there that is called model. So like to send some messages to view layer. So what I'll do is I just add attribute. Okay, so model is nothing but kind of basic hash map with some more additional functionality. For now, it's fine to understand like it's a hash map. So I'm going to add a key here that is uh, welcome message, and then I'm going to give a message as some messages. Right. So right. Yeah, that's our only one thing remaining. We need to forward a request based on the URL type, request type. There is one another parameters annotations available for that request mapping. So whatever comes with A, I'm going to send it to one. Okay, so that's all. So as I said earlier, so upon completing all the business logic server-side related things, that controller return backs these string messages to dispatcher servlets. Dispatcher servlets, what it will do is it will return it to some other view resolve handler. So view resolve handler will find the JSP pages for us, I mean view for us, and then forward this messages to that view. So for that, we need to do configuration in Spring Bean. There is a class for handling our views that's available in or dot or dot Spring dot web dot internal view resolver, and then few properties, right? So that internal those view resolver will handle it, the request comes to it, and then we need to say where it is found and then what is the extension it has. So we need to there is two properties for a mention that on prefix. So this is the location we need to provide where need to see to get the view, and then suffix what is the extension it has .jsp. So that's all our basic application is done. So let us check from the beginning so that we could understand if anything missed, right? So we have configured our web.xml with the location of Spring config, and then we have created a config Spring config servlet.xml. After that, we have created a control, and then we have written a method as message controller, and the render message will take care of. Yeah, finally, we need to create a JSP message, I mean JSP view page. So it's available inside JSP folder. Okay, and then the name should be like the same as what we written from controller. I'm going to other and check our JSP file. That has been created. Welcome message. So there are some relevant instructions are available in Spring. We can directly use the key which has been given here. That's all. Yes, messages like welcome. Sample application and just that. And then I'm going to start a server. We can run the JSP page from here itself from our server. The server is already started. I'm going to start it. Starting, and then we can identify it if there are any issues. We could see it in the console itself. So far, I guess we don't see any issues here. So initializing everything fine. Our Spring config also loaded. It's currently loading it right now. And then request types also created. Yeah, hello world. So by default, that index.jsp has been loaded, and then we need to check with our controller whether it's called. or not. Whatever request it has start extension HTML will forward it to our controller. Yeah, see, so this is a sample application. It has been worked well. And then let's see how to create a property file inside it, and then how we can make it work for internationalization support. Okay, for that, there are few things we have to do. One thing we need to say bundler, and then local resolver, and then we need to provide an interceptors. So as you know that interceptor will filter the incoming request, and then uh, and the after request, right, after request. So it basically handles requests and responses. Okay, so we can intercept all the things within it. Okay, let's see how to create that one. First, what I'll do is I'm going to create a property file here. Property file. Property. And then I'll give it as message. Dot title. Come to okay. So that's all done. And then we need to tell the Spring container to load these message properties. So for that, we need to do some configuration in Spring config. So what I'll do is create a GUI for this message source. This is one of the key we have to provide it correctly. R dot Spring framework dot local resolver. For that, the key should be local resolver. Here we need to provide the default local. It's going to be message. So so we have to provide that, and then path we need to provide a path. So yeah, this is one base says name should be the same as what we have here. Okay, and then to define the constructor here. Just keep it like that. After that, we have to change class that framework dot dot solid dot support dot sorry so dot IIT. Local change interceptor. This name should be the these are the three configurations. This should be given correctly, otherwise we'll see some errors. Okay, so that ID also very important here. We should not change anything here. And then there is one more property we need to say here, that is parameter. Okay, so these are the main configurations to load the properties file, and then the param name will be useful when changing languages. Okay, so this is a whole configuration, the internationalization support I have done. So let's see how we're going to display it in messages here in view page. Okay, so there is a tagline already available from prefix, and then URI framework that are forget that one.